This is the 2025 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Malt Experiment, Amber Ale. Thanks to our sponsors. 5 Star Chemicals. Check out their new online straight-to-consumer homebrew shop where you can buy everything from Star San and line cleaner to the new liquid PBW that can be used at temperatures as low as 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Check out their online store at 5starchemicals.com/home-brewing. Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Supply Store. A local homebrew shop in Danvers, Massachusetts. Order any malt they offer in any quantity you want, and if you order before 11 a.m., they'll package your items and ship out the very same day. Visit the store at www.beer-wine.com. Let's get tasting.
Cheers and welcome to Iron Dale Brewing. We are up to beer number 9 out of 11 in the 2025 Brewtubers Malt Experiment Amber Ale. And today we have Brewmaster Jerry's contribution, and he called his super special. Try to get a shot of the label here. And you might, if you're savvy about malts, you might guess why he called it super special. He used Briess Special Roast as his specialty malt. He used 8 ounces. I'll put the percentage of what that comes out to be on the screen. And Briess Special Roast is a biscuit-style malt, and it's drum roasted, so it's kind of in the vein of Victory, but it's more intensely roasted. It's 40 SRM. And the idea with Special Roast is it's supposed to give you bready and biscuity notes. But the interesting stuff about this is, about Special Roast, is it's also supposed to bring possibly some bran flake. And the most interesting thing to me as a big sourdough bread fan is it's supposed to bring some tang of sourdough bread flavor to the mix. So I'm going to be really interested to try this. So let's pop it open, see what we got. Actually, I'll look at the can for a second first. It says this amber ale is kicked up a little with 8 ounces of Briess Special Roast malt. His ABV is 4.5. So he started at 1054 gravity, ended at 1013. IBU 33-ish. That's a great way to put IBUs. It's always an estimate. That's what the base recipe, that's what we're all shooting for. So, all right, let's crack this thing open and see what we got. This can's very solid, so that's a good sign. All right, nice pop on the can. Let's give it a pour. Hopefully the pour cam is cooperating today. And I will try to get more out of the way as I slip and possibly, oh yeah, that's a great color. And I can't remember if I said this at the beginning. Briess suggested using it as, pardon my wipe there, as I think up to 5 to 10. I'll put the real numbers on the screen so I don't misspeak. Percent of the malt bill, and because it's, you know, at least in my experience with this, it can be pretty intense. It's pretty dark, but that is a really, really beautiful color on this beer. That is really great. And again, the colors are different between the two cameras, but hopefully you can get an idea. And it's nice. It's nice and clear. It's a little darker than some of the others, but I can, you know, kind of see through it, and I can see the bubbles coming up in it, and that is just a great, I hope that comes out on camera, that is a great copper, orangey, amber color. The color that brings to the beer is just fantastic. So let's check the aroma, which I should have done first. I always do this wrong, because aroma, at least from what I've read and heard about tasting, aroma is the thing that dissipates quickest, and you want to kind of get a first hit of it when you first open the can and pour it in the glass. And now I'm making it worse by talking more. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I can smell, there's a little bit of tanginess to the smell, if that makes sense. Which is not unlike if the best bitter I made recently has the same sort of tang to it in the aroma. But also some nice, really nice, as I take another sniff here, some really nice bready notes on the nose, which I'm trying to remember, I don't think that that bready in the aroma has come out as strongly in any of the other beers as it does in this one for me, unless I'm forgetting one. So it's a really nice mix of like tangy, not quite caramel sweetness, and bread on the nose. I mean, probably because I read about them all ahead of time, I've got bran flakes on the brain, but I think I get a little bit of that on the nose too. All right, let's give this thing, yeah, and I didn't mention the head. It's a really nice kind of light tan head. Let's roll this a little bit, and then we'll get a taste here. Yeah, that is really nice. The amount of special roast in there, I'll try to figure out the percentages based on 8 ounces by doing putting in Brewfather and see what the percentage is. That amount seems really nice to me. The color, like I said, it brings is fantastic. Really great aroma. It's just a really nice mix of a little bit of sweetness and bread. The aroma is absolutely fantastic. And so mouthfeel is, I'd call it medium to medium light. It's a little bit heavier than some of the others, but so it's of the beers in the experiment lineup. This one's a little bit heavier than some of the others, but not unpleasantly so. And yeah, that flavor is really nice. I don't get the tang kind of comes at the end. Let me take one more sip and try to walk you through what I've tasted on this one. Yeah, so initially it's a little bit. I get a little bit of sweetness. So and it's not super. It's definitely more toasty than roasty. You get kind of the bread notes, but it is not. I don't get any roastiness per se from that special roast. And there's kind of an overarching sweetness that carries through from start to finish and lingers on the palate a little bit. Let me take one more drink here. I'm trying to dissect this for you so you can give the best impression of what this beer tastes like. It's very difficult to do over YouTube, but hopefully you get an idea. Yeah, I think it's it's really good. I think the interesting thing to me is, like I said, that sweetness that kind of carries through, and that hits you, at least for me, it hits me initially. That's the first thing I noticed, and then you have these underlying bready notes, and then the finish is the hops come through in the finish, so that kind of balances out the sweetness. And I don't really get much of that sourdough tang they mentioned, and it could be just because I was that best bitter I made recently had a little bit too much of that, so I'm probably my calibration is such that I don't really notice it as intensely in this one. But yeah, that is a really good beer. I really enjoy that one. I got to think about where I would rank it. It's definitely going to be. It's definitely going to be right up there. I think it. I don't know. Like in some of the other beers, if you've watched some of the other reviews I've done, I've kind of said, "Hey, this would work well if you mixed it with this or used less or whatever." I don't know that I would change. I mean, I might dial it back just a little bit because the more I have, the more intense it kind of gets. Let me see if I can get a better shot of the. And by intent, the thing that I'm talking about being intense is and this could be me. My thing with beer is if I think I'm very sensitive to overly sweet, and this is not overly sweet, but it also does kind of build up as I drink it. And that may just be me. Again, everybody's different, but that would be the one critique I'd have. It's well balanced. It's really well made and executed. The packaging's great. Love the label. Nothing wrong with it, but for me, if I was going to say anything and change anything, I might dial it back just a little bit. But the problem, as I've said in some of the others, is if you take that 8 ounces and all the good attributes of it, sorry, I'm getting some condensation here, but all the good attributes of it, with the color and the aroma, you would, of course, lose that if you dial that back. So that's the balance you got to strike. It would be interesting, I think, to try it with maybe just a little bit less. I'll see what that percentage works out to be. But that's really the only complaint I have about this. It's a really excellent beer. I'll try to warm it up a little bit and see if that changes things. Fridge seems a little bit not as intensely cold today as it was for Billy's. But yeah, like I said, the aroma is just fantastic. That is really, you really do get. It's kind of like the Carolina biscuit malt was, where you get that like cookie thing, but in this case, it's more bready and bran flakes than the kind of the cookie side. But it's that same sort of aroma for me. And yeah, that flavor is really nice. Yeah, like I said, the only thing for me is the sweetness is just a little bit more than I would prefer in an amber ale. And again, that's what we're doing here, is talking about all the different malts and what they bring to the table. And I gotta evaluate things as best I can. But as with all these beers, that is not to say that there's anything wrong with the beer or that I don't like it. I really enjoy this beer. And that special roast that's a really interesting malt to do in an amber. And it works really well. And like I've said about a bunch of the other beers, other people might have this beer and say it's absolutely fantastic, wouldn't change a thing. And for me, I would change like just a little bit, dial it back, but that's me. But yeah, and the other thing I should say about the mouthfeel is it is creamier than a lot of the other beers. And I don't know if that's, there's a million things that can contribute to that. In theory, if we were all using the same recipe and more or less the same process, it should, they should be as equal as we can get things, given that we all brew on different equipment and have slightly different ways of brewing and things like that. But this one is creamy, and I don't know that the special roast is known for that in particular, but it is creamy as opposed to Billy's, which was more on the kind of effervescent and sparkly side of things. This one is smoother and comes off creamier. So yeah, I think I'm going to, and I made the mistake I made on one of the other videos that I didn't look up the rankings ahead of time. This one, I think I'm going to put it as the new number 3. I think it works very, very well. Great beer. And again, we're going way back to almost to the beginning I think this may have been the 3rd beer I tried. So it's kind of, I'm having to rewind in my brain and, take that for what it's worth. But I think for me, I liked Rec Brewery's Carolina Biscuit Malt just a little bit better than this. They're similar, and it would be really interesting to have those two side by side because, at least in my memory, they're similar. Just one is more on the cookie side of things, so a little bit sweeter, but a different kind of sweetness, whereas this is more on the bready side of things. And again, the sweetness is there. It's just a little bit different character. And now as I'm talking, I'm noticing just a little bit of roastiness in the mix too that wasn't there. Let me try one more sip here. Yeah, that must be as it warms up a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more actual roastiness. It's very, very light, but the emphasis is still on the bready and more biscuity side of things, and a little bit of that bran flake. My brain may not be processing what they mean by tangy sourdough, or I'm thinking about it differently than I should be, but I don't pick up on that so much unless that's the sweetness that I'm picking up on that is that I'm kind of mapping to sweet versus tangy. But anyway, great job, Jerry. This is a fantastic beer. New number 3, I think. If the numbers are wrong, I apologize. I promised I'd look them up before, and I should have a sheet here so I can really rank them, but I think that's right. I think, so we have 2 beers left, and I believe it is Brookside and Exit 12. And whichever one I grab out of the fridge at random, I have those 2 sitting there, and I just try to kind of reach in and not think about it so I don't pick one in particular, but those are the only 2 left. And this has been, I know I've said this a bunch, but this has just been an absolute blast, and it is really nice to have this kind of amber ale vehicle to try all these different malts. And I so appreciate all the work everybody's put into this, because it's a lot of work to brew, package, get labels, ship, and then we ship it to a hub, and that was Kurt this year, and he turns around and boxes all everybody's stuff up and ships it around the country, and it's just it's a labor of love for sure. But I think we're all just having a great time tasting all these beers and learning a ton. This is just a fantastic way to learn about all these specialty malts. So we'll leave it there for now. Cheers. Thanks again, Jerry. This is a great beer, and we will see you for beer number 10.